Hello everyone, with the second video about mastering the Queen's Gambit. I do believe this series is going to be very helpful, so in order not to miss what happened and what will happen, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. Yesterday or the previous video we talked about d4, d5, c4, e6, what's so called the Queen's Gambit declined, and we mentioned that this is one of the most solid yet passive opening for black, but you have to know ideas against it, and we explained in the previous video what to do against it. And in this video we will talk about the Slavs, semi-Slav, Slav, etc. Many naming, but we are not dealing with names, we are dealing with moves here. So let's go to the general plans, and then we will see the two games at the end of the day or at the end of the video. d4, d5, c4, c6, and now we go knight f3. And after knight f3, the most played move is knight f6, but as a bonus for you, because you already subscribed to our channel, I will mention this move, which is dc4, which is probably less played. After dc4, we go simply e3, attacking the pawn, and if you get the pawn, then you're completely fine. I mean, for example, knight f6, bishop takes e4, all your ideas are to seize and to have the center with e4, knight c3, castling, maybe h3, queen e2, rook d1, sometimes some preparatory moves, and whenever you go e4, then you will have a very big advantage, and black here has to be super accurate not to end up losing or end up in a very bad position. So the only justification for this idea is to go b5. By the way, here there is this trick, which is bishop e6. Don't fall for it. After knight g5, there's queen a5 check, and your queen or your knight will be like saying goodbye to the to other pieces. So you could go knight bd2 or knight c3, but just don't fall to it, and this bishop is kind of misplaced here. So let's go back. After d takes e4, e3. The only justification for dc4 is b5, but you simply go a4, attacking one more time, weakening, and if a6 trying to strengthen this idea or this spot here, then takes, and now the key move, which is b3. Why b3? Attacking one more time on c4, and if taking, now you make use of this pin, and you go bishop takes b5. a8 takes b5 cannot be played because of rook takes a8, so bishop d7. You could do many good stuff like computer says bishop d2, bishop d3, but simply I do believe like this is the easiest, more practical way. Bishop d7, knight d7, and queen takes b3, and now this is actually a weak pawn. You improve your pieces, you double your rooks, and you attack on a6, and having a very nice, easy game. So after knight f3, knight f6 is played, and now I choose the most solid, probably practical move for white, which is e3. Why e3? Because sometimes after lines like, for example, like going too early with the bishop, for example, knight c3, e6, bishop g5, there's this idea which is called the Bot-Phoenix system. This is actually not practical for black, not practical for white, not practical for anybody. It's a very theoretical line. For example, e4, I go b5, supporting that guy. So you go e5, h6, bishop h4, g5, you sacrifice, takes, then knight bd7, and you go g3, queen b6, e takes f6, bishop b7, I castle, c5, etc. And the theory goes on and on and on. So to stop that, we just simply go e3. But what about this bishop? We're coming. So we go e3, and now three moves for black. The main move and the most fighting move is e6. We will come to that later. But what about bishop f5 and bishop g4? You need to know what to do against them. So first, if bishop g4, let's get rid of this very quickly. After bishop g4, we simply go h3, asking this bishop where to go. If bishop takes f3, queen takes f3, then you cannot ask for more. This is a slight advantage. It's not a slight, it's actually more than a slight, but it's not a great advantage for white, but it's permanent one. So whatever you do, for example, you go knight c3, knight d2, bishop d2, bishop e2, bishop d3, whatever you play, you will have a very nice advantage for very, very long time, because this is a bishop pair and easy, very easy play. So bishop takes f3 is not a problem, and if bishop h5, again you will have the bishop pair. After g4, bishop g6, you go simply knight e5, knight bd7, you grab the pair of bishops, and you simply play bishop to g2. Like sometimes knight takes g4 is g4, you need to your rook protected, and you're completely good. Your main idea is to go e4, so knight c3. Sometimes you need again some preparations like queen e2 rook d1 then e4, but this is going to be your last idea, and whenever the position opened up then the bishop pair will say the word, especially the light squares bishop, which is very strong, and in order to keep things under somehow control for black, he has to stick being passive. So that's for bishop g4. Actually, you don't need any more information to have a very good position out of the opening. So how about bishop f5? Now you can go for the 27, 26, 2500 ideas of knight h4 and then queen b3 and knight c3 and bishop d2 and sometimes long castling, or you can go simply bishop d3. Why bishop d3? Because after bishop d3, first of all, you fasten, or your development will be faster. So you improve the queen very fast, and you have a very clear plan, which is to play e4. Castling knight bd7, and now pay attention. Do not play knight c3 e4, because after knight c3 e4, black has this annoying idea, which is bishop b4. And then bishop takes c3, and it's not easy for you to go e4. So in this opening, remember this, in this opening, we never go knight c3. We don't have knight c3 in our repertoire against Slavs, okay? So what to do? We simply go knight d2 with the same idea of playing e4. And now, after bishop e7, we go e4. We are probably threatening e5, kicking this knight away, having more space in the center. So, this is almost forced. D takes e4, knight takes e4, knight takes e4, queen takes e4, and now castling. And after castling, if you can go bishop g5, you go bishop g5. If you cannot, you go bishop f4. So either bishop f5 or bishop f4. Knight f6, whenever the queen is hit, you go queen e2. This is a safe place for the queen. Queen a5, you go rook fd1. And after rook fd1, rook ad8, this is the last idea that I need you to remember, which is rook d3. And the other rook is coming to the game. Rook ad1. Sometimes rook b3 is coming. Sometimes knight e5, rook g3, rook h3. You have a free advantage here in this position. Like, you can play very quickly, you can play many moves, but black has to be super, again, accurate, because sometimes knight e5 might be winning, sometimes rook g3 might be winning, sometimes rook h3 might be winning after moving the knight somewhere, sometimes d5 even can be winning. So black has to be very, again, accurate and has to be awakened throughout all the game. And now, lastly, the most fighting choice for white or for black, which is e6. Whenever a black wants to win, he go for e6. But this actually, which is a very, again, interesting practical idea. We go knight bd2. Is it the most played move? No. But what's interesting about it, according to the 𝒁𝒆𝒐 online mega, it scores the best for white. Though it's the most practical one. For example, if you go knight c3 now, you're entering a theoretical fight which is needless for anyone below maybe 24, 2500. Because there's knight bd7, and whenever you go bishop d3, there's dc4, bishop c4, b5, and after bishop d3 or bishop b3, you have to choose. There's always b4, there's always c5, with a6, without a6. Sometimes black changes plan and go bishop d6, e5. Black is full of options here, and it's actually very fighting chess are waiting for white. And only one slight mistake by white, it's not going to be equalized. You're going to be under huge pressure, and black will get the advantage. That's why we choose knight bd2. First of all, any DCs is not great, because I take with the knight, improving the knight, and my knight is heading to the e5 square. So you cannot do that. So black says, okay, knight bd7, I go bishop d3, he goes bishop d6. And now simply castling. And after castling, now it's about the bishop. That's why it's very practical. This bishop is not playing, this bishop has to play. First of all, you can go b3, bishop b2. But this is kind of passive chess. Most active chess is e4. And after e4, we're threatening e5. That's why most of your opponent will take here. D takes e4, knight takes e4, knight takes e4, bishop takes e4, and now you cannot imagine how many times a blunder happened. According to online mega on 𝒁𝒆𝒐, more than 400 times played e5. According to Lichess database, It's more than 10k. 10000. Like 10,000s, you know? Too much. e5. Why? In order to improve the bishop here along this diagonal. But it's completely bad. Why? Because I take, you take, I take, you take. And now not queen h5. Not queen h5, which is played here. Because maybe f5 is something. Maybe f5 is something. I simply go for this tactics. Bishop takes h7, king takes h7, queen h5 check. And after king g8, queen takes e5, and you are completely a pawn up. Wait a second, this is opposite colored bishop. I don't want to make it a draw. Bro, wait. It's opposite colored bishop, right? But still, it's a game. It's a middle game. You do have two rooks and a queen. And you do have attacking chances. Like imagine with me this idea of h4, h5, h6, opening this diagonal and plan this bishop over this. Completely winning. And this is a different series. If you wanted us to talk about middle game strategies, how to play in the opposite colored bishops, what's the strategy, what's the right plans, write me in the comments. Do something. Be active viewer. Don't be passive. So after bishop takes e4, we are not based our repertoire on tricks, though it's the second most played move, e5. The most played move is knight f6 attacking the bishop, and now we go back bishop c2. And after bishop c2, we are threatening bishop g5. And this is annoying pen. So to defend that, h6 has to be played. And now the last move, and then we finished with the general plans and theory. b3. Why is b3? Let's explain. Now, black has only one plan to improve this guy. How this guy can be improved, especially after b3, you can forget about e5 already, because I'm already controlling. I can add more and add more. So e5, it's impossible to be played. So the only idea to prepare for is c5. But as long as my bishop is here, whenever c5 came, either dc or d5, or you take and I take back, however, our bishop here will be not a bishop, as I like to call it. It's a monster, a dinosaur. So after b3, black is under huge pressure, and probably for the next 10 to 15 moves, black is suffering, and probably that suffering will lead to losing. Now we'll show you two games, mainly on this main line, probably the most played one, and the line that you will face the most. One for Giovanni, it's a Brazilian Grandmaster, 2600, and one for Nakamura, another Grandmaster, probably well known. So d4, playing against Lucina almost 2150. d4, d5, c4, c6, knight f3, knight f6 again, c knight c3. It's not the right move order, by the way, but it's going to be a transposition. Bishop d3, bishop d6. What's wrong with bishop d3? There are always ideas like dc, b5, dc, b5, etc. Maybe bishop b4 here. I know I don't like it. Bishop d6, castling, but after e4, it's just a transposition, like d takes e4, knight e4, knight e4, bishop e4. And don't we show games for e5? No, we don't show games for e5 because it's a bad move. And after e5, you don't need to see any ideas. You're just pawn up and without any compensation. So again, knight f6, bishop c2, and h6. And remember, what's the move here? It's again the strong b3. b6 is trying to improve the bishop. Okay, bishop b2 improve as well. Bishop b7, and now very interesting move. Queen d3. Wait a second. Now after queen d3, whenever you go c5, maybe I say, there's this idea of d5. And now I'm threatening bishop takes f6 followed by queen h7. Oy. And maybe I'm threatening to weaken your e6 pawn at least. Like strategically suffering, tactically suffering. What's this? For what? After queen d3, rook e8 is played, but now rook e1. Queen c7, the other rook is coming. Rook a d8, and now bishop b1. We are playing kind of waiting preparation moves, but it's very, very tough for black. I mean, black at the end played c5, but after c5, d5, now he's suffering. Why he's suffering? Because I'm threatening bishop takes f6 followed by queen h7. Like, for example, ed, bishop f6, gf6, check, followed by checkmate. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So after d5, e5 is played, but now again, a new weakness, a very bad placed bishop here. Very strong bishops along the diagonals. Queen c3 played by Giovanni. And now again, I'm attacking along the diagonal. Again, you cannot go e4. Why? Because I simply take. Or maybe with the rook. Knight takes, there's checkmate. Rook takes, a pawn up. A free pawn up. With attacking chances as well. So queen c3, black tries some sort of counter plays with b5, but then simply knight takes e5, and white now is a pawn up without any compensation. Soon f5 came, so b4, queen g3, rook e7, f4, and then rook f1, and this is actually very tough. I mean, very suffering. Like, this is very interesting by Giovanni. Now you cannot take with the knight because of checkmate. If you take with the rook or with any piece, then bishop takes f6, and that's actually what happened. Bishop takes f6 threatening mate, bishop f8 supporting, but now rook e1. Again, white is a pawn up without any compensation. It's not only a pawn up, it's a protected passer. So h4, like with this rook d8, black hoped somehow of bishop takes d8 and like now kind of delay or decrease the pressure, but in vain. H4, h5, queen g5, attacking more. Bishop g4, f5, takes, queen g3, rook e4 came, and ideas like, by the way, bishop takes followed by f6 is coming, rook c8, bishop g7, and after bishop g7, black resigned the game, because after you go here, then f6, you don't have this check, you don't have this check, you don't have nothing, and you will lose simply the game by a checkmate. What white has done? Probably nothing magical, as you can see. Black is suffering out of the opening. And believe me, that's going to happen a lot with your games. Probably 7 out of 10 games of the Slav defense, you will use the information of this video. So now the last game with or for Nakamura is playing against 𝒁𝒐𝒏. 𝒁𝒐𝒏 was not a very young player back then, like 2600. Yes, it's a title Tuesday game, but I mean, it's 𝒁𝒐𝒏, our champion. Knight bd2, knight bd7, bishop d3, bishop d6, e4. By the way, you could go e4 right away. I decided to make it simpler for you, like short castling first, but anyways, takes, knight f6, bishop to c2, castling short, and now again b6. We said black has to play h6 to stop bishop g5, but 𝒁𝒐𝒏 allowed it. Probably he's not like ready for this line. Nakamura just played bishop g5 and crushed him completely. Like h6, bishop h4, he did not stand this pin anymore and played g5, but again bishop g3, and after bishop takes g3, h takes g3 is completely fine for white. But Nakamura said, why not f takes g3 and opening the f file, and the pressure will be great there. So c5, queen e2, some ideas like queen e5 to be coming, rook ad1 as well, bishop b7, rook ad1, now dc5 is a threat, the rook is looking at the queen e7 supporting, but now again and again d5. You cannot take, the queen will be taken, and I'm threatening to weaken your pawn structure. Rook ad8, h4, attack on the king side, g4, attack again, h5, and queen e5. Provoke weaknesses, and weaknesses. Queen g5 is probably a threat. So to stop that threat, knight e8 is played, but now this guy is not protected anymore. This guy fallen, this guy is falling as well. f5 trying to like decrease the pressure, but Nakamura played knight takes g4. f takes g4 will open the diagonal, will open the file, so many tactics will be coming. Knight g7 attacking the queen, queen g6. Again, if you take here, it's just a checkmate, so you cannot do that. E takes d5, knight h6 check, knight takes f5. And after knight takes f5, attacking the queen, attacking the knight, takes with the bishop. Queen h7 or queen h6 probably is something. Queen h6 followed by bishop e6, as I can see. So rook f7 is the only move, and it's actually for free, so you're going to be lose too many material. So rook d6 attacking the queen, check, and rook a or rook d to e1 attacking the queen. It's, by the way, it's not only a free attack, it's I am materially up. Like, even if I exchange everything, I have very great winning chances. Queen g7, bishop h7 check. Again, another tactics, because if you take, I take, you take, and then rook takes f8 at the end of the line. Rook e7 to be coming as well next. So after bishop h7, king h8, rook f8, queen f8, and now rook e8 just finished the game, and 𝒁𝒐𝒏 just resigned the game. Yes, it's not a game that you can build too much on. It's just a blitz game, online blitz game. But 𝒁𝒐𝒏, if he's crushed like that, then there is at least some percent about the opening, and it's actually just a 30 moves game, and he was losing too early, like maybe in move 20. So this is, guys, for the Slav defense. Is I tried to make it as practical as possible, not to delve or dig deep into theory, which is actually not practical. You can dig deep in theory in one day, for example, 3-4 concentrations hours, and memorize everything, understand everything. But believe me, in 1 month and 2 in a year, you cannot memorize everything. So it's good to build your game of chess and your openings on understandings. So if you forget, then at least you understand. It's a problem when you forget and you don't understand. Sometimes, yes, you have to memorize sometimes, but at least memorization with understanding. First of all, you memorize better. Second of all, if you forget, you play a very good game of chess. But if you forget without understanding, it's a huge problem. This is the second episode of Mastering the Queen's Gambit. If you are interested in watching the full series from the beginning, you can find it on your left. On your right, there is a circle. You can subscribe and turn on the bell notification to reach us, or to the content reach you whenever we update it. Thanks for watching and see you soon. Have a nice one.